Wait.
Thank you. All right, it is Wednesday, November 2nd, 9:45 a.m. Call the meeting of the City of Hudson IDA to order. Mrs. Jahushik, would you please take a roll call?
Heather Campbell.
Here.
Jamal Johnson.
Present.
Teresa Joyner.
Present.
Daryl Kazluga. Absent. Dominic Moranti.
Absent, not able to make it today.
Richard Wallace.
Absent.
Ryan Wallace.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, start. I need a motion in a second to take the minutes from the October 12th meeting and approve them and place them on file. Got a motion second? Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, administrative report. Jessica, may I turn it over to you, please?
Perfect. Thank you. So just a
Do you
quick
want to
update.
just pivot your camera? Okay. No, she's gonna stay off camera. Okay.
Oh, because then I'll forget to turn it back. So just a couple of items. I know we had last month the revised application, and based on our conversation, the application that was in your last month's packet, I did pull out some information and incorporated it into a new document, which is the project evaluation and assistance framework. So looking at the application, there are some changes. There's also, I did make a couple other additions to it. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to have a discussion about the application, or if you want to take more time to look at it and review it and provide comments. The intention is that we will, whatever feedback and edits you want to make to this, and then I'll put it into a fillable document and we'll have to vote on that when it's final. But I think still taking a look at any edits and changes you want to make to this document. Yes. So really it's all the same information that was in the old application, just
Digitized.
reorganized in a different fashion where it has more structure to it. And then I added additional elements to accommodate the new evaluation framework and sort of the things that you've discussed over the last couple of months, to be able to look at projects a little bit more consistently. Because one thing that I think for you is that I merged all the certifications into one. The old format had certifications depending on their legal structure. I rolled it into one. You might want to take a look and see if the language is appropriate for that.
I love it. I would like to take a little bit more time with it though. Chris, if you had a chance to go through it with a fine pen, that's okay. Do that for next meeting then.
Some other things I'll just point out that I did. I added an attachment A and attachment B, pulling out the intermunicipal move questionnaire, and then also the retail questions, and sort of putting those more structure behind those.
It's really clean, Jess.
Thank you. I think it's a lot easier to follow the structure where we've got sort of project summary, there's the application information, then the specific project details. And then I have the project impacts and benefits. So it just is, I felt like sort of easier to follow, and hopefully it'll be easier for you all to reference back to when you're reviewing applications.
You've laid it out much more logically in the questions that one would ask themselves in application.
Motion out of here to them. Analysis, the financial analysis. So hopefully this is now the same format that you wanted. Little pieces from here and there, you've got it all in one place. Right?
Correct. It is. And also it makes the job creation, the viewing and sort of the analysis on the job creation a little bit easier. In the old application, there was a couple different charts. I was able to roll it into one chart. So you sort of had all that information together. It just got added in certain spots. So it was time for a refresh.
So, and with any of the attachments, to make sure that they are incorporated by reference in the language of the actual agreement so that they're
correct.
Yeah. believe, so the retail one is, that's a good point. I'm not sure if intermunicipal move it, but I'll double check that.
So I'd like to ask everybody just to take between now and the next meeting then, go through it, mark up what you need. Actually, if you could, please email Jessica directly with any edits and changes. Do you want to Google Doc share this with us so we can all collaborate with it? Okay.
No, it's just, if it's just easier, take what you have, how whatever is, well, if that's easier, if you want it that way.
I just want to
can
make
do
sure
that.
you're not going to be spending time like wrangling everything and people can like live edit and track and then this way you,
Mhm.
you know, you can summarize, aggregate.
I can do it that way. I can send around that way. You can
Just
actually-
add comment
Yep.
functionality to it, and then
Yep.
this way everybody can, then this way the lip's not on you, we can expedite it. I can show you how all of it works. Basically, it pulls up like a Word document on your computer or your laptop, and you're gonna be able to click on exactly what it is that you wanna say something about, and a box will pop up and you just type what you wanna say on that portion, and it records it all. So you don't have to send an email with it, you can do it all within the document.
It would be easier if everyone's good with that. Okay.
Okay.
I'll do that and I'll send that around the next few days. And then I think the goal would be, again, our goal was to get all of our administrative stuff wrapped up and cleaned up. So we start 2023
Correct.
fresh. So thinking this is November, December is our next meeting. So if I could get feedback at least a couple days before,
Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna say a week before. That's,
No-
well,
no la-
around Thanksgiving would
No
be
later
good.
than
That gives
no
me
later
about
than
a
the
week.
Monday of Thanksgiving, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Because that'll give you a couple of days.
To make
before or
those
after.
edits and get the document together so we can get the packet that Lisa sends out. That's
Alright, cool.
perfect. So the another document that I just mentioned was the project evaluation and assistance framework.
Which is beautiful.
This pulls together sort of the application process. It looks at the fee structure that you all discussed last month.
Yep.
And then it summarizes the evaluation criteria. I think I wanted to look specifically at the fee schedule on page 2 of the document. Because this is something that you had a good discussion on last week. I want to make sure that I incorporated everything that you all were talking about.
Yep, you got the
This, I think,
application.
yep.
Yep.
The application fee at $1,000, non-refundable. And this is, it has to become part of the application. We wouldn't accept an application without the fee.
Yep, and then 1% of the aggregate. Yep.
Yep, on the administrative fee that was due at closing, 1% of the aggregate project cost.
And you just have to amend it. Instructions. You know, it's for, application. Administrative fee.
It is included in the,
Yeah, it's not consistent with,
perfect. Let me know where it is, because I think in the application instructions for the application, I did make that. I didn't, I missed it. I missed the part. Okay,
so it's.
Perfect. thank you. I'll take another one.
You may want to, instead of trying to put it all in there, you may want to just refer out to a separate document.
Stay for that, right? Because then having it two places.
Yeah, maybe. Because then you can more clearly explain all of the different. Having the application fee in there and then the wording of that. The resolution to the board. In that way, yeah, it's updated.
We don't have to think about where else is it, make those statements. Okay, I'll take another look at that. That's perfect. That's the type of feedback I need.
Yeah.
Because just need extra eyes on it.
Perfect.
And then the annual administrative and monitoring thing, this is the one I want to really kind of just spend a minute on. So this is where we had a lot of discussion and back and forth, and I think I captured what everyone was sort of landed on, was this annual fee. This is going to be due by January 1st of each year. And it for projects that were greater than $10 million or less than $10 million, it would be $1,500 for that first year.
Correct.
And then an increase based on COLA every year following.
Yep.
And then for the projects greater than 10 million, 2,500 plus the same annual increase based on COLA.
What appears to happen? What is it if it's just 10 million?
A good point.
Because which, you know, is it 10 million and less or 10 million and greater? you know, that's one of the questions I've written down. What is it if it is to
Pick
just
one, pick one of the credit funds backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I just messed up when I said it out loud. Yes, thank you. We could make it also I will check that also. The 10 million, I could make the project greater than, yeah. And then the bottom one just greater than 10 million.
What do you mean in general?
Yeah, I didn't have long enough to say.
Oh, there have been applications in the past, I'm sure. I don't think there's been anything in the past 4 or 5 years though.
I don't
Because
think we
case
have.
businesses.
You know, I think we draw like everything is accepted, doesn't talk much about.
Oh, if it's denied.
Well, no, because the process that the board has to go through is to review all of their findings, and if you don't
Correct.
read findings, then it would approve it. And sometimes what's happened is we do an application, there's been discussion about whether it meets your requirements or not, and they amend the application, and it can see if it then meets your requirements. So there's a little bit of that that's happening. And sometimes I think there's probably projects that may have come in, you know, administratively that don't get to the board, so they just didn't fit the criteria. But I'm not recalling a particular one where you actually got to the saying we want to do this. Well, they just didn't get that far, I think.
Right, we have conversations with some loan clients who are like, oh, what about the IDA? And so we flush that out and sort of steer them in a different path if we don't think it makes a lot of sense or it fits. A lot of the times it's based on the cost to do business with the IDA. It doesn't make sense financially for the company. So we do have, I think there are conversations that go that path as well. So same on this, if you have any edits or changes, let me know. I can send the same thing around. Cause this, Chris will need approved also because it includes the fee structure.
Correct.
For sure.
So any edits, catches like wrong sides in the wrong way,
No.
let me know. It all starts to blur
But this
together
is-
as one word.
When I tell you it was outdated, it was a
Yeah, thank you.
manual printed PDF that needed it, like you needed a typewriter basically. Otherwise now digitizing it to move forward, even to start, you're gonna be able to go, and we'll get to the website. The public can get to the website and do a mass search and just be like, I want to know everything that address parking, right? Like in some way, shape or form, you're gonna be able to find the word parking in every application that we have moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I love this stuff.
Modernizing.
That's put
the
my
agency,
eyes
yeah.
crossed.
And then the annual reporting.
And then the annual reporting, which really is just for your information at this point, because it does need to be included in the uniform agency project agreement template.
Yep.
That I think Chris, you mentioned we were working a little bit email over the last month that you might want to look at that document as well, because this gets incorporated to that.
This will, so what we'll do is with this, if this is final, then we'll put this into, they'll have to send me a Word version. We'll put this into the UTEP that we have, and we'll, incorporate, you know, sort of the most recent, whatever little edits, that we've made to accommodate certain things, as this policy document. We're gonna have to look at it, see if we need to add it as a policy document.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
If there are, for example, we probably discover in the document, or if there are additional, requirements as a result of, says under this category, we need something in the agreement that says, yeah, do this thing that they said. placeholder for that.
So I did put, because this is a fillable document, thinking about the companies needing to fill this out every year. It is a fillable PDF. And there is a section based on your comment via our email. I added an extra box that's additional project-specific requirements, and we can figure out how we fill that out for those requirements, where they are specific. So, yeah, any feedbacks to this as well?
So this form will actually premium, but probably you would want a fillable version on your website, maybe,
Yes.
or something that you could send to the applicant.
A web
Well,
form.
Well, if we're gonna, if the document is specific to each project because of this additional project-specific requirements, I assume that you're not gonna want, you will have
No,
a generic one on the website.
We can have a generic one to review, but what Chris is asking is to make it easier. We can, because this goes into the next element on the website thing, and part of what I want to talk to make sure we're doing for the IDA, and I know I've talked to Michael Hoffman about knowing what we're doing in the city website, is if every applicant has sort of like a customer portal to it, right? Then you're going to be able to be met with the web form that when you fill it out, automatically adds it electronically filed to your application, which can then notify not just you, but all of the board members that, you know, I'll use the Pocketbook Factory, for example, but the Pocketbook Factory has filed its annual report and it is ready for review. And then within that, I want to make sure that there is an option of, do you have questions for the board before you have the final, like, are they confident that they filled it out, or like, do they need some guidance first in that process? And then we can all weigh in.
Okay, because that's great, because there's, the next one is on the ID,
The
on the
website, yeah,
website,
yeah.
so I have questions. I don't know if we wanna jump to the website or continue.
So just while you're on that, in terms of this document, if that's the structure you're following, you could have an upload page.
That's correct.
For the additional requirements, and then we would have to tailor whatever the specific project is, presumably, right? And then they would have to do an upload page for that report.
The only,
Is there the capability in the city's website to do that?
there's going to be, but this is what I have to.
Okay, so that's the timing thing
Right,
too of,
And the way that this all kind of came around is that we are looking at DocuWare as basically a cloud document provider that had come in.
Okay.
And DocuWare works, this, I'm getting my Chris hat on here, with most municipalities to meet all of the state and federal requirements for document storage and security, which is good because this falls underneath that as well. So yes, we would be able to provision out
Mhm.
kind of like a client portal key in that aspect. And then to Chris's point, if there are sensitive financial documents and whatnot that may not be for public view, but do need to be attached somewhere either for the IDA board or for your body in terms of administration purposes, there's the capability to do that in terms of drag and drop feature and functionality.
Fantastic. Do you have any time frame for when
End
that?
of the year.
Oh, the end of this year, it'll be available.
That's, well, the goal, Mr. Mayor, keep me if I'm incorrect here, but
That's the goal.
yeah, that we're doing a quick gut check. The only delay that I know that has happened so far is that the HTML coder, they were slow to hire that person. So what I think your next step would be, not to hijack and move us into the website thing though, is that I think it'd be great if you, myself, and Michael Hoffman get on a call to talk about the specific functionalities that we need the IDA page within the city website to have. And that'll be the same thing with like tourism as well, because I'm thinking ahead to next year, is that applications should be able to be form filled on the website. You can attach previous year's reports or whatnot, and then they are auto uploaded and generated. And on the back end, what I want to try to ensure is that there's going to be an IT provisional capability to just basically automatically tag the people that need to know, right? So rather than it needing to go, okay, here's my old application. Hello, city clerk. Please make 15 copies of it and distribute it into the mailboxes. It's this application was filled by the applicant, and everybody who's affiliated on that board, as soon as it's filed, you have it in your inbox.
It's more like a portal.
That can happen
then.
with code enforcement. That's a whole other. Oh yeah. Yeah. Not yet, but like no more this way. Yeah. So
You're talking about the annual report, possibly not the application, right? Because the
We need a
application
wet
is
signature.
sort of, yeah, and because it needs notarized, not the application, just the annual reports that they have to submit
but
after it gets, after the closing.
we discussed in tech committee as part of the council, and I agree with this, is that nobody knows where we're going to be in the requirements of wet signatures in 10 years. And I think for the sake of posterity, yes, still require the wet signature as legally needed, but let's start moving forward with a requirement of a digital copy for archiving purposes.
That's great. So for the website, what I've done is created an outline of structure that needs to
The
be,
flow.
yes,
Right.
and sort of all the documents that are not on there that should be on there for compliance purposes. It was just sort of an assessment and inventory of here's what's missing. We use a person who updates the IDA website. I had just a brief conversation with him so far to say, does he have the capability and capacity to help us sort of update it? But I think where you're headed in this conversation with the city's website, we should have that meeting with Michael Hoffman
Yeah.
soon. I'll work on with
If-
both of you to try and get
If
that
you can ping
scheduled.
us both, because like I'm also trying to get a meeting. I'd rather do it like we can book an hour and maybe the first 30 minutes are with you because he may need to bring in the team from Revise on that.
The company, the
Yeah.
firm that's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
the work. Yeah.
So I'd rather try to knock all of our questions out within 1 hour, which is a more efficient use of not just Michael's time, but the vendors too.
Perfect.
And if we can make sure that our structure
Correct.
Yes. Yes.
and organizers for the meeting, that's important. And notices of meeting, however that's done. Those three things have to be up there. Third part of that is probably, however you want to do it, that's fine, organize things. So that you can
It's-
do it that way. But you need to make sure that the documents for each of the board meetings are available.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
They have been, but I just, as you reform, it's just.
And that's part of it, looking at what the ABO requirements were. I started from there and said, okay, let's make this the most prominent. These are the ABO requirements. Then looking at the project. So I think it's, I think great. We'll have an out conversation.
Yeah.
And I can start with, here are the things that's missing that you need to first address.
Yeah.
Or,
Excuse me.
Perfect. Okay, so based on administrative report updates, I'll send out the documents in the Google Drive format.
And then we can
So,
all,
yeah. If you can get me that by the, close to the end of November, that's great.
Perfect. And project updates. I mean, first of all, thank you for arranging the walkthrough of the pocketbook factory. Pardon?
Lisa, thank you.
Oh, Lisa, thank you very, very much.
Mhm.
It was really good to see what they're doing in terms of trying to save the building and bring it forward. So I think people will be happy with the result.
SEC 7 Dock Street, the attorney is compiling their portion of the documents and making revisions, right, Kristen? We believe that we're pushing toward a closing for mid-November.
Meeting documents.
Where did we land on the title insurance? They're still, okay. Perfect. All right. Do any of the board members have any business? Other than we're all running on fumes at this point of the year?
No.
All right, I'd like to open up the floor to public comment. Please identify yourself for those on.
I sit on the HDC, and I sort of perked up when I heard you all talk about the tech committee.
Yeah.
Because as I'm looking forward in my new role, I see an opportunity in that kind of communication, that housing of information. So can you share a little more about the background of how this came to be and if that is going to apply to all city council information?
The goal is to, yeah, and I mean, because it doesn't directly relate to IDA, I can
Sure.
share with you afterwards,
Sure.
but high level overview is that the mayor's office and the mayoral aide are actually looking at our extremely outdated website. And it's everything, what I like to call front of house, meaning the customer facing or the resident facing elements, but more importantly, the back of house elements. And that involves everything where Heather and I have been working with our very, very fun friends at our cloud center, which I got to ask you about that after, but where we're ensuring that simple functions and features, the way that you enjoy sort of your personal life, if you will, like paying banks and whatnot, like you're gonna have payment portals for things like your taxes, parking tickets and everything. Like, why are we still within the 19th century of paper when we should be moving forward? And the tech committee has been trying to assist where we can on certain things, namely an app for residents. But we are in the process of still negotiating which one we're gonna go through. But all of these systems essentially will tie together to make sure that information hopefully is available here. Because, I think we're already past this with people and we're still operating on this, unfortunately.
About a specific thing per se, it is the lens in which people see our city.
Right.
Right, whether you're a pocketbook factory or you're a small boutique. Or just pay your parking ticket because you're a tourist, right? So-
Listen, the horse and buggies will pick you up right out front, so
So thank you.
I can power with you after too. Any other comments? No, that's just the mouse.
Oh, yeah.
All right, with no public comment, I'd like a motion in a second to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time. Thanks to everybody who attended online today.